Rebecca with the Nocturnal. How are you?
Birthday. I'm amazing. How are you?
Yes, happy birthday. Before we started, every day you wake up.
Should be a birthday. You gotta have that feeling like when you on your birthday, like, yo, it's my birthday. You should just feel like that every day. You shouldn't wait a whole year to feel like that.
Absolutely. Enjoy life every day because you never know when
Yes,
it lasts. Yep.
exactly.
Absolutely. See,
Right.
we're here with
Thank you,
it.
Rebecca. Thank you so much.
So today let's talk a little bit about your upcoming album that's releasing on November 18th.
Yes, it's I have an album dropping on Friday, The Book and the Bill, and really proud of it. It's I feel like it's a great piece of art, and we worked on it for a couple of years. So
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned it took a couple of years to create. So how long did it take?
it was off and on a couple of years, and it was one of those things where it was an experiment. The Book and the Bill is a book of poems from my partner named the Bill, who's a poet. So for me, I've always written songs and melodies and concepts on my own or with different artists. And this is the first time I stepped outside of my box, and a friend and mentor, Muhammad Adid, introduced me to Nabil, and I started listening to his poems, and I was like, "Whoa, this would be amazing as a song." So went to Paris and cut like 10 records, turned 10 poems into 10 songs in like 3 days. And from there it started, like, we didn't know that we were working on the Book and the Bill back then, but it turned into the Book and the Bill. Ultimately, we were just really just experimenting and seeing how these poems would turn, how they would sound as songs. And then it turned into stuff that we really genuinely loved. And so it was like, yo, we should probably release this. And I was like, we should call it The Book and the Bill. And he's like, no, please, not my name. And I'm like, well, these are words and like poems that come from your heart. So let's make it The Book and the Bill so we can have a volume one, a volume two, if it goes that far. And for me, it just shows a lot of growth lyrically, because if you listen to the album, it's just using a lot of words that I would never, have in my vocabulary. And it allowed me to learn, just learn what these new words meant. And at the same time, show growth for me as a songwriter, and not just, I'm known for melodies and concepts. So just to be able to have something that's like, yo, Pooh Bear, you never said, and on this day the shadows were shunned. Like, that's not how you talk. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it just showed growth. And I was like, yo, I'm proud of this growth. Book in the Bill, you know?
And one thing I've realized as I like expand my musical journey more and more every day, I
Mm.
learned that like I love topic driven songs, like songs that because music is so expressive. If you're
Yeah,
sad, there's a song for that. If you're happy, there's a song for that. So
concepts.
exactly. So I just love songs where I listen to it and I'm like, that described how I was feeling to the T.
Yes, that's what it's supposed to do. Music is supposed to speak for you. Um, we've gotten into a lot of music that people just drop, just and they rhyme words, but they're not supporting a concept. There's no main idea, and the verses don't support that main idea.
Mm.
So it's really important that the Book and the Bill, every record on there has it has a concept, and every poem, every lyric, every verse supports that main idea. It's not all over the place. It's a complete thought. A lot of songs that come out now are like fragmented thoughts, where it's like, I was following you, and then you just started talking about, like, are you talking about a girl? Are you talking about money? Like, what are we talking about right now? So it's really important, really important on the Book and the Bill and everything that I've created, to have a really cool concept that's clear and have a clear thought, a clear idea. So when people do hear it, they can resonate and be like, oh wow, that I understand that. Or it might even translate into something else for them, but it's a complete thought. They're not left like, yo, I don't know what this song is talking about, but I love the hook. You know what I'm saying? And that's what a lot of records are nowadays. Like, I know the hook, but the verses have nothing to do with the hook. So
Right.
Book and the Bill is real. We care about that. Everything I work on, it's really important to have a concept and verses that support the main idea.
Definitely, definitely. And the last album you released was in 2018. So how do you feel like you've grown since that album?
The last album release was Pooh Bear Presents Birthday Music, and that was like records with me, my celebrity friends, that were in between albums. So that growth, it was songs that I had written, and a lot of my celebrity friends recorded them, and I probably sang on maybe 4 songs on that whole album.
Right.
So the growth, with the book and the bill is there aren't any features. So it's only me singing on every song. And like I said, lyrically and conceptually, I'm just talking about things that I've never talked about before in 27 years of songwriting. And it just shows for me, like me stepping out of my comfort zone and not trying to, hide in features and hide, with collabs, with cool collabs, but just be raw and just sing. It's world music. And for me, it's like as long as I could reach somebody, it doesn't have to be millions of people. I just want to be able to resonate with a community of people that really love my music and be able to build and grow from that place. So um, it's a lot of growth in the book and the bill from Pooh Bear Presents Birthday Music.
Definitely. And as you mentioned, there are no features. It's only on this album.
Only me. Yeah. Yep. Which is
You,
is
yourself,
new.
and I. You, yourself, and I. Yup. So, what are you excited for fans to hear when, and what do you hope their reaction is when they do listen to this album?
Favorite Human. I love Favorite Human. I love Tamara. It's just a lot of records on the album that they're very new. You can't compare them to anything that's out. And therefore it's a new product. It's not like you're going to get some ketchup and you already got Heinz ketchup. You already have all these other ketchups. It's like this is a whole new sauce, and you haven't had it before. You might have tasted something similar, being that my frequencies have been programmed through the universe through people like Justin Bieber and Usher and Chris Brown. So it might feel familiar by way of my frequency, but conceptually, sonically, it's new. It's all new product, and the album is, it's consistent. There's I don't feel like there's any skips, and I'm just really proud of it. Like I'm really excited to get for the world to hear songs like Wolf Hour, like I said, Tomorrow, which is really about, Nabil's daughter, which ultimately when I took it and made it into a song, I was like, oh, this is about my daughter now. You know what I mean? So that's really special. It's having records that aren't your cliche love songs to a guy, your cliche, you hurt me, you lied. You know what I mean? The cliche is it's just out of the box, which for me is refreshing because I just feel like how many of those songs can we take? You know what I'm saying? The same cliche concept. So you just from this you should expect refreshing lyrics, refreshing melodies, musically and sonically. It's not urban, so it's more world, it's universal. Like even with Favorite Human, it's not nice, it's not Afrobeat, it's not reggaeton. It's kind of like in this new genre that doesn't really exist. And there's a lot of music on the album that I can't really classify or put into a genre, which I think allows it to be, just free. And it allows people from all walks of life, all ages. It's not just for the urban community. It's not just for the EDM world. It's like all these different records that I feel like should be able to resonate with the people that they're written, that they're meant to resonate with, and it just opens up the audience way, it's a way more broad audience than just having an R&B album or just albums just straight reggaeton. It's very vague, it's very broad, and so I'm excited for the world to just hear the different styles of music on there. And I love the fact that it's a handful of stuff that you can't really put into a genre, because I feel like a lot of the reason why I'm here is to push music forward, to push everything forward, so people can have new things to bite, new things to be influenced by.
Right, right. I absolutely agree. I definitely do. And I'm one of those people who are excited to hear it. So as soon as it
Thank you.
drops, just know one of the listeners is definitely me.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you. Appreciate your ears.
Of course.
Thank
And
you.
as you mentioned, you've wrote songs and worked with many musicians like Justin Bieber, Usher, Chris Brown.
Yeah.
That's just to name a few people.
right.
So when you're creating a song, how do you determine which song sounds best for you or for others?
That's a great question. Just because Justin Bieber believes in me more than any artist in my whole career, and I worked with a lot of artists, but he believed in me to where I work. I've done 3 albums, 3 Bieber albums. So it's like journals, purpose, changes. So because of that, when I'm creating, I always send Justin my music first because he believed in me. Granted, I had hit records. I was coming off of She Ain't You when I first met Justin. So I had hit records from the '90s up until then. It's just nobody ever plugged into me or nobody believed in me the way that Justin believed. And nobody else ever said my name in public. I have people, I have artists that I have no problem with artists taking credit as long as I really got the publishing and I really was able to take care of my mom. But a lot of artists, like to pretend like this stuff was coming from them. And I never had a problem with that. I just wanted to be more like we did it together.
Yeah.
And no, the only artist to ever say my name in public or like over and over again on interviews is Justin Bieber. And it's like I worked with artists like 112, Usher. I worked with so many artists that, ironically, you would think like they would be more supportive of their, of their the same race. But strange enough, it took a Canadian to say my name on Ryan Seacrest, say my name on the biggest, Ellen DeGeneres, everywhere. Who'd you do this with? Who'd you do this? Pooh Bear, Pooh Bear. And I'm like, yo, it got to the point where I was uncomfortable. I'm like, yo, Justin, you don't have to tell people that we did this together. Like, he was like, no, bro, I want everybody to know. I want the world to know. So because of that, I give him all my music. Anything I record, I give him first dibs. It's up to him to be like, yo, I love this. Don't play this for anybody else.
Yeah.
And then for everybody else, somebody hires me to work, it's different, then I can, if they want something that I already done, or they might want me to create something that's specifically tailor-made for them. So the scenario changes, with how I'm creating for different artists. Most times I'm just creating songs for Pooh Bear, for me, for myself. And most artists, they don't want what you wrote for them
Mm,
because that was already their sound. They're coming to you to get whatever you did for you. And they don't really know how to say that, but I figured it out over the years that whenever I would write songs for artists, they never took them. But then when I would play them songs that what I would be doing for a Pooh Bear quote unquote album, they'd be like, yo, I want that song. I'm like, oh, I get it. You want what you don't have. You want what you never did.
right.
So that for me saved me a lot of heartache in creating for artists because now I'm able to just be like, yo, what would I do? Let me just write a song for me, like for my album, because I don't have any boundaries. I can say anything I want. And that's where when I was writing for other people, I would limit myself to like, oh, well, they don't say that. Well, they would never say that. And
Yeah.
for me, I say whatever I feel, whatever's fly, whatever's cool, whatever, similes or metaphors I use. I don't care about what somebody else is thinking or what age group or what demographic. Like I'm not thinking about any of those things. And I think that's what real artists they look for. They want what they're not supposed to do. They want like what's next. And so that allows me to just create, and create and from a blank slate and be myself. So, that I hope that answers your question. Like sometimes I'll create and I'll just send it to Justin because he believed in me more than anybody. And then sometimes artists will hire me. They might hear something that I've done. I'm like, oh yeah, you could cut that. That's from my album, but I don't care. I'll write another song for my album. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do for a living. And then there's artists that'll be like, yo, I love that, but I want to just talk to you and let you know where I am right now, so you can just create me a tailor-made suit for me right now. So a couple different ways.
What does your creative process look like? Like when you're starting to write a
Um,
song, does the melody come to your head?
Now, the most important part, the hardest part of my creative process is the concept. It's the
Mm,
most important part because most people just start writing and then they'll try to think of a concept after they already wrote a verse. But it's like, well, wait a minute, what's your verse about? You
right.
know what I'm saying? And it's like, so for me is I have a lot of concepts in my phone. you know, during conversations with people, I'm talking and I'm like, oh, that's an amazing song. And I might not say it out loud, but I'm taking my phone like, oh, that was, I'm gonna write that note down. Like that was crazy. I just said that. That's the title of a song. So that process for me is the concept first,
Right.
going through chords, and humming melodies, with the concept, humming melodies, because if I can sell you, if I can win you over, if I can make a song with just my concept, my melody, and a song and chords, then I win. That means I can make it reggaeton, I can make it reggae, I can make it whatever I want. I could put, tuxedo on it. So the
Right.
main core of it is it a hit song? Is the concept strong enough to people, like, is it original enough? And is it strong enough to when people hear it, multiple things come in their brain, like, and it connects with them in multiple ways. You know what I'm saying? Those are the parts that, most writers and creatives, they make it so difficult because they just start writing, and they don't have, my concept is my address.
Yeah.
So if I give you an address and we put it in ways, it's going to give me 4 different routes to get to this place. Some shorter, some faster. Each one of those routes is my verse
Mm.
or pre-chorus. You know what I'm saying? So now, guess what? All these words and lyrics, they're all ending up at the same idea. That way I have a complete thought. So my address, my concept is my address.
Right.
That's the hardest part. Most people don't have an address. So they just get in their car and guess what? They just ride. Like, where you going? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just hoping I'll just run into something. And that's how people create songs. They be like, what are you writing? Like, I don't know, but what's your hook? Like, I don't know. This is a verse. Like, so how you just got in the car and just started driving? Like, yeah. So that's my process is, concept first, which is my address. Chords, chords is, would be the car, the vehicle, that gets my melody around. And then, then I have, my verses are the different routes, and then from there, I'm able to create a solid piece of work that I could be brutally honest about and say, yo, that sucks, Pooh Bear, or this is cool, that's my creative process. I try to make it really simple for you.
Okay, because sometimes you need a direction. You need to know where you're going and how you want to start before
Especially
you
if
can
you
get to
want,
the finished product.
if you want people to relate to you, there's so many rap records that are all over the place, and there's so many songs that are released on streaming services. It's a lost craft. So when somebody has a good song, it usually sticks out because it's like, oh wow, that's a complete thought.
In terms of the internet, you see how things go viral every day. When it
Yeah,
comes to music, music goes viral a lot on
it does.
platforms like Instagram, TikTok. How do
Yeah.
you feel social media has helped the music industry?
I just I feel like there's a yin and yang to everything in life. I feel like everything in life is really simple. It's negative and positive. So the things that I feel like Instagram helped was just, direct to consumer, consumption, like knowing in real time if somebody loves something or not, just seeing the engagement, seeing the comments. These are people that are like, they're sitting there and they're real live people and they have valid opinions. I value these regular people's opinions more than I do my music industry peers. Because
Mm.
my music industry peers, they're gonna be dissecting and be like, well, if you didn't do that pre-chorus or if you would have added a hook, nobody's driving around saying they either you love the song or you don't. So I don't value those people's, unless they sold a gazillion records and they can tell me when their last current hit was, but I could be like, you have a valid point, sir. Other
Right.
than that, I don't want to hear it. I'd rather hear somebody who's never written a hit, has nothing to do with the music industry, because they're just riding in their car and they're either going to turn it up or turn the station.
Right.
That's it. So I value, I think that being able to have access to people through Instagram and social media, it's everything, because in real time you could play something and then you could have a bunch of people be like, that sucks, that sucks, that sucks, that's garbage, that's garbage. Be like, all right, let me try again. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not just hating on you because they're just jealous. It's really garbage. So just having access to, like, direct access to people and their opinions and their comments, I feel like changed the game. Because it goes off of most people just thinking their music is amazing and then they put it out and it doesn't work. As
Mhm.
opposed to, well, let me put a snippet up right fast on Instagram Live. I'm like, wow, I just got 10,000 views and like 15,000 likes and engagement. Every comment says release this, drop this. When is this coming? Now I'm like, oh wow, I can actually see that it's working. And I can literally be like, well, I can literally see the demographic of the people that it worked with the most and be like, I can pinpoint now, like, yo, I'm just gonna send music to these people because they love that music. Now I have data, I have all this information that we collect from Instagram that we can never get. We never had access to that. So I feel like it's an amazing, plus, that's the positive of social media and Instagram.
My last few questions. What do you feel is the best advice you've ever been given?
Crazy enough, it's so simple. The best advice that somebody's ever given me is you need to really take time out to breathe.
Mm,
None of us breathe. Like even when we're doing this interview, you're breathing like 30% oxygen. You don't even realize it because we're just programmed to just breathing enough to live.
yeah.
But really, we're supposed to breathe like that's a hunt, like really breathe. So I never knew that. So when somebody told me that information, it was a game changer because every time I start getting stressed or anything, I always go to like, well, you're not even breathing, first of all. So you're frustrating yourself because you're lacking oxygen. You know what I'm saying? So that for me, it was so simple, but I use it in so many different aspects of my life that I have to say that it's probably one of the most important things that somebody ever brought to my attention, which really was Justin Bieber. He was like, yo, you're not breathing. You don't breathe. And I'm like, yes, I am. He's like, no, take a deep breath. I'm like, oh wow. I don't just walk around doing that all day. You know what I'm saying? I never take deep breaths. None of us take deep breaths. We just breathe very shallow so we can talk and live and go to sleep. So that's some of my best, advice. I know that's random, but for me, it really works for me in so many different aspects of my life. So
Honestly, I sometimes the simplest advice is the
right.
one that sticks with you the most.
Less is more.
Okay.
That's that part.
So my last thing I want to ask is, outside of your album, do you have any other projects or anything that you're working on?
Absolutely. Outside of the book and the bill, we just completed a rock album titled Guns and Toilet Paper. That's coming right after the book and the bill. On top of that, heavily invested into my water company called H Factor. It's hydrogen infused water, which is we're in about 8,300 stores. It's the only water with health and wellness aspects to it that you drink it and it eliminates all of the inflammation in your joints and also allows you, if you're working out, your muscle, cuts the recovery time in half, the hydrogen does. So we're going to be hearing a lot more about molecular hydrogen. Hence, like nobody knew what gluten-free was 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Like what gluten-free? Like, oh, I'm allergic. Like I didn't even know. Now you got a whole section in the grocery store that's gluten-free, right? So
Right.
we're ushering in hydrogen. It's a whole new era. It's for health and wellness. You're gonna hear about hydrogen powered fuel. You're gonna hear about everything hydrogen, and you're just gonna hear about it first from me.
Okay.
And it's gonna be no different than the first time you heard of a gluten-free bread. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, what's that? What's gluten? So hydrogen is an amazing part of our lives. It's one of the four elements that we need to survive. And I think that we've kind of had a shortage of it. I don't think we focused enough on it. And I think that H Factor, the hydrogen water, is going to open up a lot of doors for hydrogen. That's just one of the few things that we're infusing with hydrogen. That's the first thing. Outside of that, there's Wonder Bread, cannabis. We have stores everywhere. They're all different flavors of cannabis. We understand the benefits of cannabis and fighting cancer and also inflammation and amazing health benefits to cannabis, that have been proven. And there's 3D Live, the holographic technology. That's LED walls that, instead of having your LED performance wall, you stand there, you now can have stuff hovering over you and floating over you, turns the nosebleed seats, turns them into the best seats. So once again, I just feel like everything that I'm invested in is like to push things forward. Like what's next? Like let's not keep doing the same thing. Like who's gonna be the person? It's like, oh, we don't need projectors anymore. Let's just use self-power screens.
Right.
that have zero, that the depth is crazy and it's like it's real live. The imagery is amazing. So everything, the water, let's not just drink water to be, hydrated. Let's drink water that removes inflammation out of our, you know what I mean? So everything in my life is like, what's next? So that's pretty much that I'm working on. There's other things outside of that, but those are the things, those are major things outside of my music career.
I'm so happy for all your success. I'm happy for your
Thank you.
album, and I'm
Thank you.
excited to see everything that you accomplish.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thanks for all the great questions. And the book in the bill is coming out tonight. Favorite Human is out everywhere. Just
Okay.
wanted to remind you that.
So, I'll definitely be one of the listeners, and whoever who watches this interview will be a listener as well.
Thank you, Rebecca. Happy birthday, Rebecca.
Thank you. Happy birthday to you too.